Hey, yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bros Talk MMA. I'm your host, Utica, undeniably the illest cat around, aka Mr. Make This Pick Real Quick. I'm here with my bro host extraordinaire.
You know what it is. It's RayBucks. It's Chaco Jordan. It's Mr. Give Me My Belt. Hand me my crown.
Yes, sir. We're going to be covering this weekend's Fight Night card. We got an 11-fight card headlined by a middleweight bout between Michel Pereira going up against Anthony Hernandez. We're going to start things off in the heavyweight division. We got Robelis Despaigne going up against Austen Lane.
Sorry, mate.
We got Despaigne coming in 1-1 in the UFC, 5-1 overall, and 4-1 in their last 5 fights. We got Lane coming in there 0-2 in the UFC, 12-5 with 1 no contest, and 2-2 with that 1 no contest in their last 5. My pick's going to be going with Despaigne by either KO or decision. They're the bigger fighter, definitely more powerful of the two. And really, this should just be like a bounce back fight for them after suffering their first loss in their last outing. I would say that only like their grappling and their gas tank are the things in question. You got Lang coming in. They're going to be the smaller fighter, which is funny because you guys are 2 heavyweights, but he's just the smaller of the 2 heavyweights. A powerful striker, just not as powerful as Despaigne. Not really even UFC level in my opinion. They're kind of chinny, and to be honest, I'm not sure if they have the grappling, even though they got a submission on their record. I don't know if they have grappling that in their arsenal. I think they're just going to end up standing with Despaigne. So they just need to possibly incorporate some to slow them down. Other than that, they just need to make sure they don't get their chin tapped. I'm going to be going with Despaigne in this one.
I'm going to go with Robelis, the big boy Despaigne. He's a KO artist. Lane's been KO'd 2 of his last 5 fights. Actually back-to-back. So I don't trust that chin for a second. Despaigne for the win. I think this is a pretty cut and dry one.
Definitely. All right, moving on. We have a strawweight bout in the women's division. We got Alice Ardelean going up against Melissa Martinez. We got Ardelean coming in. They're 0-1 in the UFC, 9-6 overall, and are 4-1 in their last 5 fights. We got Martinez coming in. They're 0-1 in the UFC, 7-1 and 4-1 in their last 5 fights. I'm going to be going with Ardelean by either decision or KO in this one. They're going to be the older fighter by 5 years, slightly taller. They're going to have more MMA experience overall, well-rounded, but I'm not sure if they're UFC level. Martinez coming in this fight, they're going to be the slightly longer fighter, a striker primarily, very scrappy, I would say, but same thing, not sure if they're UFC level, and not sure if either one of them winning this fight really proves that either of them are after this fight. So if I had to make a pick, though, I'm going to be going with Ardelean. Who you got?
I'm going to pick Ardelean. She's the best of the 2 trash cans that are getting ready to fight. This is going to be a boring fight. This is when I will go grab my beer, like as I usually say. And as we get into the next fight, I'll probably be grabbing a second beer at that point. So go ahead.
Moving on to another strawweight bout in the women's division, we got Jessica Penne going up against Elise Reed. We got Penne coming in 3-5 in the UFC, 14-7 overall, and 2-3 in their last 5. We got Reed coming in 3-4 in the UFC, 7-4 overall, and 2-3 in their last 5. I'm going to be going with Penne by either sub or decision. They're going to be the older fighter, taller. They're going to have the edge in the grappling. I wouldn't say their hands are great, but I think they'll be able to like outlast Reed over this fight, especially if they're able to get them down on the ground. Reed's going to be the younger, smaller fighter. Really just like a point, type of contender. No real threat in the grappling. Yeah, I think Penne, if you had to choose between the two, is gonna have more of a killer instinct. So I'm gonna be going with Penne.
Out of these two waste baskets, I'm gonna go with Penne as well. Another trash fight. Like, who wants to watch this? We're talking about the 115 weight class. No one's really heavy enough or strong enough to fucking knock each other out. Very weak BJJ on both sides. Yeah, I think it's second beer time at that point. So, Penne is my pick on this one.
All right, moving on to a women's bantamweight fight. We have Joselyne Edwards going up against Tamires Vidal. We got Edwards coming in. They're 4-4 in the UFC, 13-6 overall, and 3-2 in their last 5 fights. We got Vidal coming in. They're 1-2 in the UFC, 7-3 overall, and 3-2 in their last 5 fights. I'm gonna be going with Edwards by decision or KO. They're gonna be the older fighter by 3 years, taller and longer, more experienced in the UFC and fighting overall. They're a striker who can grapple, and if I was them, I would definitely mix it in to zap some of that energy from Vidal. They're gonna have the better cardio of the two, and as long as they stay away from any power shots, I think that they should be able to get this done. Vidal's gonna be the younger and smaller fighter. They're a striker who can grapple as well, but they don't really use the grappling, like I feel like they rely more on their striking and their power. But I've also seen them try to, finish fights to the point where they start to lose a little bit of gas. I wouldn't say their gas tank is great. And I'm not even sure if they're UFC caliber at this point. And I feel like the only way they get this one done is by either like some type of flash KO. But if this goes on over 3 rounds, I'm gonna assume Edwards has definitely probably grappled their way to victory. I'll be going with Edwards.
I'm gonna be going with Vidal. I believe she's the best of the two dumpsters in this fight. These last 3 fights brought to you by Waste Management. I didn't realize they were a UFC sponsor, but apparently they are, because that's the only reason that there would be these 3 fights in the UFC at this point. Vidal or Edwards has won her last 2 of her last 5 fights by being overweight, by chunking it up on the scale. So that just shows a lack of discipline, in my opinion, I guess. Let's please move on to the next fights because at least they're slightly better. But Vidal's my pick in this one.
Okay. Moving over to the men's division in the bantamweights, we got Brad Katona going up against Jean Matsumoto. We got Katona coming in 4-3 in the UFC, 14-3 overall, and 4-1 in their last 5. We got Matsumoto coming in there 1-0 in the UFC, 15-0 overall, and I'm gonna be going with Katona in this one actually, either by decision or sub. They're gonna be the older fighter by 7 years, smaller fighter, great cardio, and that's what I think is gonna be their main weapon that they're gonna use against Matsumoto. Matsumoto, they're gonna be the younger fighter. They're gonna have the edge in everything. I should technically be picking them, but I just feel like they are gonna gas in this one. I feel like Katona has a tendency to take fighters to deep water, really test their gas tank, and I feel like that's what's gonna happen to Matsumoto. They're gonna face their first defeat at the UFC level, and at this 15-0, that's a great record, but I just feel like this is the one they're gonna lose.
I believe that Matsumoto is going to take Brad Superman Katona and make him look more like Phillips from South Park. That's kind of how I feel. Matsumoto for me is more of a finisher. Katona's a decision machine. Um, and as we know, let's not ever leave a fight up to the judges. And if you're one of those types of fighters, you're really you're taking your career, well, you're giving your career out of your hands into the judges' hands, and who knows what they might do with it. So,
Real shit.
sorry, Philip from South Park, but you're definitely gonna lose this one.
All right. Moving on. We have a flyweight bout in the men's division between Matheus Nicolau going up against Esu Almabayev. We got Nicolau coming in 7-3 in the UFC, 19-4 with one draw overall, and 3-2 in their last 5. We got Almabayev coming in; they're 3-0 in the UFC, 20-2 overall, and are currently riding a 16-fight win streak. I'm gonna be going with Almabayev in this one by either decision or sub. They're gonna be the slightly smaller fighter, but they're definitely gonna have the edge in the grappling. They can strike, but it's mostly just for getting in for takedowns and finding ends for that. They got a decent gas tank, and I would say out of the two, especially with the grappling, they'll be able to wear on Nicolau. Nicolau's going to be the slightly bigger fighter, but they're just more of like a volume and point striker. They kind of just, move around the cage and then, come in and give you a 1-2 and then slide back out and just circle the cage. They got some okay grappling, and, the cardio's good when they're just, like I said, circling the cage. But at the end of the day, their chin is kind of questionable at this point. They're on a 2-fight skid, and I just don't think they got that killer instinct like Almabayev. So I'm gonna be going with Almabayev.
I gotta agree with you on this one. Almabayev is a 60% of his wins come by finish, whether it be KO or sub. He comes in as the better grappler. He always shows up with crazy conditioning, just always super shredded. Um, Nicolau is again uh, not as much of a finisher. And you know what I mean. Again, like I was saying about the previous fight, leaving it up to the judges, just trying to take it to the third round and win by points is not the way to go in UFC at this point. So Ambayev, being the finisher that he is my pick.
Definitely. All right, moving to the men's featherweight division, we got a bout between Darren Elkins and Daniel Pineda. We got Elkins coming in 18-10 in the UFC, 28-11 overall, and 3-2 in their last 5 fights. We got Pineda coming in; they're 5-1 with one no contest in the 5-7 with one no contest in the UFC, 26-16 with 3 no contests overall, and 1-3 with that one no contest in their last 5 fights. God damn. My pick's gonna be with Elkins by decision. They're gonna be the taller and longer fighter, super durable dog fighter that just is well rounded, but mostly just tries to get their opponents to the ground and just grind them out to a decision most times. Pineda is going to be the smaller fighter, but he just has that kill or be killed attitude. The only time his fights go to decision or when that's the only time like he loses by decision. He's never won by decision. He only submits or KOs you if he ends up finishing the fight. Or I mean, like if he ends up winning the fight. My apologies. Dangerous grappler that can strike, but I just don't think he's gonna be as durable as Elkins at the end of the day. So my pick's with Elkins.
Yeah, Elkins is just a hard-headed warmonger. He loves it. He's gonna leave it all out there. This one is a tough one for me. But I'm going with Elkins, solely on his cardio and his heart. Um, he's ready to go to war, and he will leave it all on the mat. Win, lose, or draw. Same can kind of be said for Daniel Pineda. Daniel Pineda is more of a wild card, and he'll definitely go out on his shield. You know what I mean? But I think he also is more prone to make a crazy mistake and then get clipped or get caught in a bad situation. So just he's a little bit, like I said, more wild card. So that's why I got to go with Darren Elkins in this one.
For sure.
But this one should be a banger.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on to the men's bantamweight division, we have
Jake Hadley is the MMA version of Megamind. He probably wears like a size 9 hat. His dome is just way too punchable.
Moving on to the flyweight division, we got Sumudaerji going up against Charles Johnson. We got Sumudaerji going.
But what the hell, boy?
My bad. I gotta do that over. All right, moving on to the flyweight division, we got Sumudaerji going up against Charles Johnson. We got Sumudaerji coming in 3-3 in the UFC, 16-6 overall, and 3-2 in their last 5 fights. We got Johnson coming in 5-4 in the UFC, 6-16, 3-2 in their last 5 fights. Man, I fucked this up again. I gotta start this over. Bro. God said his record all fucking stupid. Oh shit. Okay. Moving on to the flyweight division, we got Sumudaerji going up against Charles Johnson. We got Sumudaerji coming in 3-3 in the UFC, 16-6 overall, and 3-2 in their last 5 fights. We got Charles Johnson. They're 5-4 in the UFC, 16-6 overall, and 3-2 in their last 5 fights. My pick is gonna be Johnson by decision or KO. They're gonna be older by 5 years, slightly taller, and a striker who can grapple. But they definitely got really good boxing. They got good cardio that helps them take over fights later on, heading into like the 3rd round. And I feel like if they mix in some of their grappling, that'll be a good route to victory in this one. Sumudaerji is going to be the younger fighter, slightly longer, a dangerous striker, but with no grappling really. They're going to want to keep this on the feet. They're on a 2-fight skid, and they're going to need a quick KO if they really want to have a chance at winning this one. I'm going to be going with Charles Johnson.
I gotta agree with you. Charles Johnson's my pick here. Sumudaerji literally is a one-dimensional fighter. All he has is striking. So Johnson, in my opinion, has more routes to victory. And Sumudaerji is actually dropping weight for this particular bout because he last fought at 135. He has bounced around, so he hasn't. This isn't the first time he's fighting at 125, but since his last fight, he's moving down to 125. I don't see where he drops or he's going to be able to drop the weight from. because he's kind of a small fighter as is. So I definitely just believe that Charles Johnson's got this one in the bag.
All right. Moving on to the co-main event of the evening, we have a bantamweight bout between Rob Font going up against Kyler Phillips. We got Font coming in. They are 10-7 in the UFC, 20-8 overall, and 1-4 in their last 5 fights. We got Phillips. They're 6-1 in the UFC, 12-2 overall, and 4-1 in their last 5 fights. I'm gonna go with Phillips by decision or KO. They're gonna be the younger and longer fighter, striker who can grapple with a good gas tank, and they're gonna just want to mix it up with Font really to get the win in this one. Font, they're gonna be the older fighter by 8 years. Slightly smaller fighter with an edge in striking. They got a really good jab. And have fought the best of the division. They're durable, and they're mostly just a point fighter that has, like, once again, a really good jab. But if you can get around that, that's really all they got. They're currently on a 2-fight skid, and they're gonna want to keep this standing if they have a chance to win. But even then, if Phillips actually ends up having the edge in the grappling, then Font's just kind of going to be a punching bag over 3 rounds. So I'm going to be going with Phillips in this one.
Yeah, I think this is a no-brainer. Like you said, Phillips is younger by 8 years. Font is 1-4. Phillips is 4-1. Phillips also is from the MMA Lab Gym. If you don't know, please look them up because they've got a bunch of killers on their team. I believe that it's the O'Malley Gym. O'Malley's at that particular gym as well. I think this is just a fight to kind of send Phillips into that top 10 ranking. And unfortunately, Rob Font's on a slide, and I think it's going to continue until he either gets to the point of being, the top 15 gatekeeper, or, possibly lower. Unfortunately, he's just not doing it anymore. I think he was a great fighter at one point, but for some reason things aren't clicking.
Absolutely. Moving on to the
main event of the evening.
We got a middleweight bout between Michel Pereira going up against Anthony Hernandez. We got Pereira coming in. They're gonna be 9-2 in the UFC, 31-11 with 2 no contests overall, and are currently riding an 8-fight win streak. We got Hernandez coming in. They're 6-2 in the UFC, 12-2 with 1 no contest overall, and they're currently on a 5-fight win streak. My pick's going to be with Hernandez by decision or sub. I just believe they're going to have the edge in the grappling. They're the longer fighter. They can strike, but that's not really where they want to take the fight until that's not really what they want to use until it gets to the ground. They got a great gas tank. They're going to look for the takedown nonstop and then stick to the opponent as soon as it does get to the ground and keep them from getting back up. And really just go to tire them out, grind them down, either to a decision or just basically break them and be able to submit them or ground and pound. Pereira, they're the taller fighter, definitely the more dangerous striker of the two. They have grappling skills, but they primarily like to keep it on the feet. I'm not sure if their strength of schedule stacks up against Hernandez. Their takedown defense, if you ask me, is a little bit padded due to them mostly facing strikers and just, grapplers who may not have been as high level as they are. They got a good gas tank, but not to the level of Hernandez, and I feel like they're going to have to get this fight done quick because as it goes on, Hernandez is just going to wear on them more and more. So that's who I'm going with.
This is arguably one of the toughest fights on the card to pick for sure.
Definitely.
Both these guys are great. Michel Pereira is on a 8-fight win streak. Anthony Hernandez is on a 5-fight win streak. They're both great in regard or in certain regards. Like you said, Pereira is a great striker. Strikes, you know what I mean, or throws way more punches per fight than Herrera does.
Who the fuck is
Herrera
that guy?
also, or Hernandez, sorry, Hernandez is, you know what I mean, more than likely going to throw somewhere on average 6 takedowns in this particular bout. Because that's what he does on average. 6.62 if you guys want the actual number. He also does or attempts up to three submissions per bout as well. So this is really a true grappler versus striking exchange. And I know that UFC is kind of moving towards strikers as far as what we've seen recently in these fights this year. But it's really, really hard for me to go against a grappler in this particular exchange because Hernandez doesn't have bad hands. It's not that he has no hands and he's only a grappler. He just doesn't have hands as great as Pereira's hands. So I'm just not sure where this one lands. I'm gonna pick Hernandez. Not the most solid pick I've ever made, or most confident pick I've ever made. But it's really this is a tough one. They both have gas tanks. They both are gonna like leave it all out there. I think Pineda is like just a little more reckless than Hernandez is. I think Hernandez won't be quite as reckless as he will be. I can't even say, but I can't say Hernandez necessarily has a higher fight IQ. It's just I think he's going to, even though I said he doesn't have a higher fight IQ, he's going to just fight a smarter fight, I believe, in my opinion. Really tough one. Not something I'm putting a ton of money on. Of course, I bet the entire card every time. But yeah, Hernandez for the win in this particular bout. This is a tough one. This is a great fight though. Like,
yeah, this one's gonna be really good.
And I really do like all these fights, other than the ones that are sponsored by Waste Management. And I think it's possible, it's very possible, but maybe Katona makes his fight boring, unless Matsumoto is able to kind of change that. But yeah, this is a good card.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, definitely. You got any parlays?
Oof, I do have some parlays, actually.
Okay.
First pick of my parlay, I'm gonna give you 4. Obviously, you know what I mean. This is I'm gonna restructure my parlays for y'all, because I've been getting some hate. I haven't been hitting parlays, you know what I mean, as frequently as I would normally like. You know what I mean. Players fuck up sometimes. But I'm gonna give you the first pick and the second pick, right? You can make that parlay. That's an easy parlay. You know what I mean? Second pick, higher difficulty. Fourth pick, a little higher. You know what I mean? So first pick is Despaigne. Okay. I think that's a no-brainer. I think he makes it happen. Second pick is going to be Almabayev. Third pick is going to be Charles Johnson. Fourth pick is going to be.
Okay. Nice. That's it. Just the base 4.
I'm gonna throw you another 5. I'm gonna throw you the 5th one. My 5th one is gonna be Phillips over Font.
Okay. Nice. I like that. I'm gonna start with a base 4.
Base 4.
Yeah.
Okay,
just a
boss.
base 4. Right. We got
Parlay Prince is coming out hard, huh? Coming out tough.
Yeah, Joselyne Edwards, Asu Almabayev, Charles Johnson, and Kyler Phillips. And then if you want to spice things up, I would say throw a spicy Robelis Despaigne on there. And if you really want to spice things up, an extra spicy Anthony Hernandez. So
Okay.
6 overall, but 4 to start, and then you want to add to that, feel free. Other than that, this concludes our 35th episode. So, salute to that, my G. Make sure that you actually, first things first, we haven't covered this in a while, but up here, you can make sure to look at all the graphics and everything that explain the all-time picks going on here recently. I was able to catch up a couple of fights. I don't know off the top of my head what.
That's the only reason you're bringing it up, yo.
I don't know what we did on each card, but I know it's been a couple of cards now since the last time we brought this up. So I'll have all the info here. I know bro's still in the lead. I caught up a couple of fights. He probably dropped his percentage a little bit.
Yo, episode 33 was rough. I mean, which fight card was that?
Shit, bro.
I know it was a rough card. We're gonna put it that way.
I think it was 307.
307 was rough. So we filmed these like what, it was 2 weeks prior. Technically kind of in that area. I'm gonna apologize for 307. Now, I'm only apologizing a little bit because like I'm gonna say my OSP pick was a little wild, right? I was out of pocket on that one. I knew it, but whatever. But the judges were kind of fucking up. You know what I mean? Utah, I'm not sure what kind of organized crime bullshit is going on in Utah or whatever, but like there was some bad judging there. Tell me not.
I was not a fan.
Nobody was a fan. It seemed very suspect on the judging there. So that being said, like, you know what I mean? I'm gonna do better.
For sure. Yeah, I mean I didn't really do too much. I think I broke even on a couple of cards.
Also, fuck you, Utah, or not Utah refs, but whoever, there's so many refs out there doing bullshit. It wasn't just the judging, it was also the refs in 307. Come on, man.
Yeah, the refs were
also bullshit.
The refs were being weird.
How are you breaking people up every like 8 seconds? 8 seconds they're in the grapple, and it's like, oh shit, like get up, you guys aren't moving enough. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, that shit was crazy. That definitely was crazy. Well, just want to thank everybody for watching. Make sure that you like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Salute to all of the new subscribers. We're almost there to that 50. It's been kind of, a long road to get there, but we literally are this close. Make sure that you follow us on Instagram at Bros Talk MMA, as well as on our TikTok. Shouts to everybody who's been growing our numbers on that platform. Make sure that you check out our alternate content on the channel. And yeah, outside of that,
I just say, and if you're looking to be a guest on the show, go ahead and you know what I mean, send the poll out.
Yeah.
Pause.
Like fishing, man.
Shout outs to Leo the Wise. Speaking of guests, yeah. Outside of all of that, we wish y'all nothing but luck this weekend. Happy betting, and until the next time, we out.